Hey, before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hey Transformers fans, welcome to another episode of Mixelpix Transformers Time Warp. We're digging into the pile. We're going for something a little bit older, so we're going to go for this box right here. I like the way this is looking. Oh yeah. All right, yeah. It's a box full of goodies. Gonna have to keep you in suspense for a moment while I dig these out. Little bit of a hint here. We got a couple of collector's cards. Yeah, you saw that right. Star Saber. And this purchase was made through BigBadToyStore.com. All right, let's go through these one by one. First up, Star Saber. I have been very excited to open this box and find this character for a while now. It's one of the outgrowths of me getting into the G1 series, and then I found out there was also the Japanese continuation of the G1 series. Star Saber is in 2 of the series that continue the G1 continuity in Japan, Super God Master Force and Victory. It took a little getting used to because it's not the same as the G1 in America. The sensibilities are a little different, but the stories are still fun. There's a lot of good throwdowns. The animation is good, generally speaking. And I watched the whole thing because I was on a mission to watch the whole thing. And I'm glad I did, because Super God Master Force was a little tough to get through. But the other series after that were fun. Star Saber is a great addition to my collection. He's MP-24 from Takara Tomy. And this is a very big box. It's about, what is that, maybe 16 inches tall, roughly, something like that, 15 maybe. And you can tell that the aesthetic of the character is much more Japanese than we're accustomed to from a Western perspective watching the G1 cartoon as kids. It's got all the same stuff, you know, it is a masterpiece character. So metal print, MP-24, their name in yellow. And one of the cool things about this character is that in the series Victory, he combines with another character to create a third character. While Takara Tomy doesn't actually have this character from Victory, Keith's Fantasy Club went ahead and made it. And the amazing thing is that it is compatible with Star Saber to make the third character. So KFC's Simba is their version of Transformers Victory Leo. He combines with Star Saber to make Victory Saber. So you got 2 huge bots who combine to become an even bigger bot. How can that be anything but lots of happiness? I'm very excited to see how this goes. As you can see, the general aesthetic is very reminiscent of the Masterpiece stylings for the box. On the back, the picture stylings are a little bit more chunky, a little less sophisticated. And the overall print quality doesn't look as good as the Masterpiece boxes. When I first saw it, I actually wondered if it had sun damage, but it's equally kind of subdued on each panel of the box, it looks like. So I think that's just the way it printed. So there you have it. That is Victory Leo. Okay, so these are 2 more Autobot car bots that are made from the same mold as Sideswipe and Alert. So I'm not going to do an unboxing of these today in the interest of time. Lambor and Clampdown will have to wait. We're just going to acknowledge that these were on the pile and that these are now off the pile, and we're going to move on. And like Clampdown and Lambor, today we're not going to get into KFC Simba, their version of the Victory series Victory Leo, which combines with Star Saber to become Victory Saber. So come back for the video where we unbox Simba and we combine him with Star Saber to make Victory Saber. So if you don't really even have an appreciation yet for how big this thing is, let me put my hands in here. I'm a 6-foot guy. I don't have small hands. Pinky to thumb width is about 6 inches. So here you go. There's 6. Okay, so that is roughly maybe 9 inches across. So there you go. Star Saber's a pretty big boy. Got the brochure here. Got a collector's card. Want to see that. And looking good. Nice. Good illustration. Really nice photography like usual. Very cool. And we've got a little bit of a booklet, not a fold out. So this is kind of cool. Yeah. Ah, so that's what this was. Okay, so it was a specialty Masterpiece Fans Choice. So I guess there was some kind of vote, and it was a Fans Choice character. Very cool. Star Saber's head. Really cool looking mask. Mean looking eyes. Very neat. Let's see what we can get out of here. Oh, that guy's stuck. That's Star Saber's hilt. Here are his blades. And I think I'm going to have to wait to get those out. Let's take out bigger parts of the bot. There was a bag of something left in the clamshell. Aha! I believe that's his shield right there. So this little guy here, it is the core of Star Saber. This is the actual intelligence, the bot behind Star Saber. Here's his sword hilt, and he's got 2 different size blades for this, it looks like. If you saw the video where I got the Star Saber upgrade kit from Keith's Fantasy Club, then you'll know that I got another blade to upgrade Star Saber's blade. So we'll have to see how that looks, maybe in a different video. All right, that's pretty impressive. I mean, all the stuff coming out for one character. Oh, let's go ahead and unbag this. All right, yes, his shield, a gun, cool, and some blue parts. All right, I'll piece them together and get them into vehicle mode and be back with that. Okay, vehicle mode has 2 components, of which this is one. This is Saber, and this is the jet that goes into the vehicle mode. This holds the brain, as the manual calls it, the little bot inside, which ultimately is Star Saber. And the brain goes inside Saber here, the jet. And then the jet goes into the V-Star, which is the second component to the vehicle mode. They combine together to create the entire vehicle. So you've got to do a little bit of transformation here. Button on the back. And then this slides/clicks into place. So let's see if I can't get it. All right, that looks about right, hopefully. Ah, wings sticking out. All right, with a little bit of doing, you've got the vehicle mode. And in the Victory cartoon, this vehicle mode just looks so cool when it's animated. All right, so maybe this will look a little bit more like the cartoon. I used a fisheye lens for this shot, which I think makes it look a little bit more dynamic. The perspective's a little bit more exaggerated. So I think it might look a little bit more like it does in the cartoon. But regardless, it is a cool looking vehicle mode. The only thing that I don't really care for, and it's a part of the animation too, is the fact that the helmet is part of the vehicle mode so obviously. But at least they hide the faceplate, so you can't actually see that it's the robot faceplate. So that's good. So there you have it. There it is in vehicle mode. Let's go ahead and take a look at the two robot modes. Okay, so there are actually three robot modes to Star Saber. This first one being the tiny little guy that goes inside the jet. Technically, this is called the Brain. Star Saber himself is Brain Master, if I'm remembering correctly, and that would make sense of why this is called a Brain. And this little guy, I guess, essentially is Star Saber. This little guy is the smallest of the three robot modes. Next we have the second bot, Saber. Now this guy doesn't have a face right now. That's because this little guy has to be his head. So he doesn't actually transform into a head, but check this out. It's pretty cool. So pop this open. And then you can see the window from the cockpit in the background there. And you're going to take the Brain and you're going to firmly put him standing up inside the transdector. Make sure you press him into place because he's got a little peg he's supposed to get into. So there you go. He's standing firmly inside. And then close the door. And when you close the door, how cool is that? So there you have him. That's Saber. So Brain goes into Saber. Then Saber combines with V-Star and becomes Star Saber. So let's take a look at the third robot mode. Oh yeah, but before we do that, let's go over some of the mobility of the character here. Overall, I'm liking this bot. However, there's this hollow here in his arm, as you can see. There's no panel covering it. His fingers are small so that it would be hard to articulate or create, I guess, articulating fingers on the hand. So you just have a four-finger grip, and that's all. So it just closes from an open hand into a fist. So that's okay. You do have a bicep swivel and a good elbow bend. You have pretty good articulation in the legs, and in the knees you get almost a 90 degree on the leg. One of the things that I do really like about this build, this aesthetic here, is that they actually sprung for actual, gold-colored paint, so that's reflective. So that was a nice touch. I'm glad they didn't just go with a bright yellow paint. The leg ratchets for the knee actually do leave something to be desired. As you can hear, there's not really any ratchet that's going on as I bend his knee back. But his ratchet happens when he's going forward with his knee. I'm not sure why. Oh, that's not good. Looks like you can make him look like he has a broken leg. But yeah, the backswing, no ratchet. The left leg, you hear some kind of ratchet, but it's really more, and then it's more distinct going back. So there's this soft spot in this ratchet. So these knees leave something to be desired. These feet also leave something to be desired because they just want to tip up really easily. So when you're putting them into a standing position, those little toes might actually pop up a little bit. And because he's got that little faceplate action that occurs, he doesn't have a real head swivel. Oh wait, he does. Whoa. Okay, not much of a head swivel. Wait, no he does. Okay, that is cool. All right, he's got a head swivel regardless. That is very cool. Head tilt, probably asking too much. Let's see. Yep, no No head tilt back or forward. No head tilt side to side. But he can turn right. And he can turn left. So that's pretty darn cool. That's about all I had to say for the quality of the build. I guess one last thing on the fists is that these little hand guards, they fold in a little too easily. The hands aren't really clamped into position very well. They don't clamp into position at all, so they're easy to fold back in on themselves. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But overall, this little guy is pretty cool, considering that he's one of 3 bots in this group. So that's my critique of Saber. All right, so here's what the big guy can look like. He is looking really impressive. His size, his detail. I wish they could have gone a little bit more into detail on some things, but overall, the aesthetic is nice. Matches the cartoon, but, adds in that little gold plating there on the chest, which is cool, and recalls some of the shininess of the Japanese cartoons, if you will let me use that term. The cel-shaded kind of look, and so a little bit of shininess is nice. His face is metallic, so I do like the more realistic kind of rendering of those kind of aspects of this character. This is how he can look. He is kind of loose, and I don't know, he's probably going to be able to be posed well enough once I use the upgrade kit from KFC. But right now, his left arm holding the shield, that's kind of a tenuous thing. That left arm is pretty loose. The sword, I thought he should be holding it with the blade, thin side, edge side toward camera, but seems to fit best in his hand when it's just got the flat blade there, which looks okay for presentation, but it's not a very realistic way to fight with a sword. Another thing to mention is that his faceplate, it doesn't really snap into place. So it can turn like the saber head can turn, and it can tilt up and down, but the faceplate itself doesn't snap into place. And I guess that's, I don't know, maybe so you can tilt the head, but sometimes you got to make sure that faceplate is all the way down. And there you have it, all 3 robot modes for Star Saber: Brain, Saber, and Star Saber. There is one thing in vehicle mode that I forgot to show. Remember those translucent blue pieces that we saw coming out of the bag? Those combine into this little structure, and then the shield comes apart, or at least the handle comes off. So you've got the shield part, you've got the translucent blue pieces, and that becomes a stand for the vehicle mode. So just slide the translucent blue pieces into where the handle used to go, and then just connect this to the underside of the vehicle, and there you go. Display stand. Not a bad looking way to go about showing off your Star Saber. So Takara Tomy did a nice job, thinking of us fans and how we might be able to display this. It does have landing gear below the vehicle, so you can also just sit it down on its wheels. But if you want it to be in flight, there you go. You've got the stand. All right, let's bring in our MP scale standards: MP-10 Convoy, aka Optimus Prime, and MP-21 Bumblebee, and Star Saber. All right, so we're going to change up our MP scale comparison for this one. Let's go ahead and try a new MP scale standard: Rumble. All right, so you might be wondering why I'm comparing the smallest part of Star Saber with a cassette bot. Well, I'll be completely honest, I didn't want to transform Star Saber again just to do the MP scale comparison. But if you'll follow the bouncing ball, I'll explain the reasoning here. If we assume that Rumble is roughly human size, perhaps a little bit taller, as can be seen in the G1 cartoon, If we assume that, then we can go ahead and start this comparison. So if we assume that Brain here is roughly human size because he fits in the cockpit of the jet, then let's assume that he's roughly the same size as Rumble. So if Rumble's a little bit bigger than a full-grown human male, and Saber's brain is the same size as Rumble, then Rumble here is about 3 times as large as Brain Saber. So carry that forward, and we can assume that Star Saber actually needs to be 3 times larger in order to actually be in scale with Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. So that would be massive, like on the Hasbro Pulse Unicron scale of massive. Yeah, stack 3 of those Star Sabers together, and that would be the size that would be in scale with Optimus. So there you go. That's our MP scale comparison for a very large bot using a very small bot. All right, well, that wraps up this episode of MixelPix Transformers Time Warp. Thanks for joining me. I hope you found it informative and that it'll help you in your collecting. My name is Mike, and until next time, happy collecting, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe for more MixelPix videos, and leave me your comments below about what you liked and you didn't like about the video. Until next time, see ya.